go into that and that those subcultures, and if you want to see some bitter, resentful people, I mean, like, I know they're not all leftists are like that. Like, not all, but like on average, I think leftism is generally a kind of like resentment-based political view. And at least the popular leftism today, especially like the woke variety, which is just completely dependent on grievances.
Right.
Like, you need to be angry. You need to think that the world is out to get you. You need to interpret things in the like most malicious way possible. Like, that person didn't hold the door open for you. It's because you're Black. You know, not because like maybe they are blind in one eye because they were a war veteran and they didn't see you. Like, you know, there's like so many ways that you can choose to interpret things that make your life better. Right. You know, it's not like I'm choosing to interpret things in like some delusional way. It's like, oh, I'm just going to pretend that that person that willfully pushed me, they just did it because they were having a bad day or whatever. Like, yeah, I mean, that's probably true in some regard, but I mean, like, hey, no, like, there's a line, right? Like, I'm not going to just like be literally attacked and be like, well, you know, people have hard times. Like, it's not that. It's just like when you have that gray area where it's like, okay, I went to, like, someone mispronounces my name, right? Which is like a quite normal occurrence considering my name is not very common and has like a little line over it that is not in English whatsoever. So, you know, like, I could choose to interpret that as like malicious, which is the entire concept of microaggressions, which is a real concept. I know we laugh at it now, right? Because it's been around and we're like, it's kind of embarrassing. And like, even leftists are like, well, you know, well, it's not quite that way. Like, they want to kind of push it under the rug and whatever because it's so ridiculous. But when it first like was coming out, especially when I was younger and these ideas were like gaining traction, I mean, they were used to justify unhealthy worldviews. So like, a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy is in direct contradiction to leftist worldviews. So the idea that you should interpret things as malicious first is in direct contradiction to a technique that you would learn if you went into cognitive behavioral therapy, which is to basically give the benefit of the doubt, to not have a negative bias. And so instead of me saying like, oh, the professor mispronounced my name because they're racist and because they're trying to single me out as an other and because they don't care, because they've been taught by a white supremacist society to look at non-English names as somehow lesser, I could think, they've probably never seen my name before. Isn't that great? My name is so unique. Let me go have an interaction with them where I tell them like, hey, actually my name is pronounced this way. And see how they react then. Because then I'll have more information. And if they're like, I don't care about how your name is pronounced, then I'll be like, okay, this person is overtly giving me information that they're, you know, rude and you know, excluding me. But, you know, if you start at the default as like, people are bad, everyone's out to get me, the world is a bad place, you're going to find that outcome. Like, that's how life works. It's crazy, but it's not even just like magic. Like, I think it's quite like science backed, hence, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is like a very like well researched form of therapy, taking exactly that premise of like intentionally looking, you know, going with your most negative interpretation and saying, this is a warped view of the world. And for better health and better outcomes, you should not do that.